Hello and welcome to the special edition of Matchday Live from the 246. It's the Whit Monday edition, and indeed we've got an action-packed show for you. With us tonight, we've got the Chief Media and Communications Officer for the Barbados Football Association, Anmar Goodridge-Boyce. And as usual, we have with us tonight the legend, Eyre Sealy, 40 caps for Barbados, former head coach of Barbados national team and represented Pride of Gall Hill for most of his playing career. Good evening to you, gentlemen. Welcome to Matchday Live, the special edition. We've had a fantastic English Premier League season, and we've also got the action at home as well. We're going to tell you all about it in just a moment. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we get into the BFA Premier League. Back here on Matchday Live from the 246. Of course, I'm your host, Damien Best. Well, we've reached the halfway stage in the BFA Premier League. It's still all Weymouth Wales who remain unbeaten after 11 matches. However, there is a bigger story developing in the race for second place. Anmar, good evening to you once again. Good night. Of course, only 1 point separates second place Britain's Hill on 23 points, Empire on 22, and Ellerton Football Club on 21. What improvements have been made? Is it tactics or form?
Good night to you, Damien, and good night to all of the viewers. Yes, Damien, you mentioned the improvements. Let's start with Empire. They have a new coach, Mr. Roger Proverbs, and you're definitely seeing the results since he's taken over the job for Empire. They've won all of their games so far in the Premier League, so there's definitely something new and different in and around the changing room and the dressing room at Empire Club, and it seems to be working. Whatever message he's given to the players, it seems to be on the right track, and Empire look a bit of a new team. They've been doing well so far for the start of the season under Fitzgerald Carter, but yes, there's a new man in the seat at Empire, and they're still getting the results. In terms of for Britain's Hill, they started very hot, only losing one game, and we saw the likes of Romario Small, Corey Hoyt, their top leading goal scorer, on the score sheet. Again, he did have a bit of a drought, but he's back on the score sheet in and among the goals, so I expect the Britain's Hill Empire game to be won for the Butts. I expect it could be a possible 5-goal thriller, and I wouldn't be one to call it at this moment, Damien.
Well, definitely shaping up quite nicely. Well, here we know Wales have been businesslike, but a lot can change in the second half of the season now that the players have more football under their belts. Your thoughts on the entire season so far, well, halfway stage?
Well, to be quite honest with you, I don't expect Wales to crumble. I don't expect Wales to do an Arsenal, to be honest with you. I expect Wales to hold it together. They're used to being in this position. They'll be composed and calm, and a lot would depend on how much pressure second place team one of these teams in second place can really apply to Wales. And then it would have to be a situation as well where Wales also shoot themselves in the foot, and I don't think Wales would do it. I don't think the management would allow that to happen. So I expect Wales to win the cup. What I would say about playing for second, if you start the season with aspirations of winning the lead, and then you're playing for second, it is very hard to stay motivated and keep that desire knowing that you're only playing for second place. it'll come down to which teams continue to train, put in the work, and really want to be happy with coming second, because I don't think no one is catching Wales.
Yeah, most definitely. When you look at the way they're playing, they've got so much attacking talent. But Anmar, we've got a bigger picture in the mid-table as well. We've got Armando Sugar-Lashley of Paradise. He's the leading goal scorer at the break, but his side has been unpredictable, currently 5th in the standings on 17 points. But they're not far off in terms of Britain's Hill, Ellerton and Empire.
Yeah, you mentioned Armando Sugar-Lashley, and I think for this campaign so far in the BFA Men's Premier League, he has been the most prolific striker. Yes, he has 13 goals, and I mean, if you look at how Paradise have been playing, recently they haven't been in the best form, but yet still Armando Sugar-Lashley continues to be on the goal scoring sheet. He is the captain, leading by example. I think they went out to Weymouth Wales in the Champions Cup, so I know that would have perhaps put a bit of a damper on their season in terms of the knockout football and their aspirations going back to the league. I think Paradise is a team that they can get it together. If you look at the league table, you mentioned not too far off in terms of Ellerton, Empire and Britain. So I expect Paradise to get it together coming on to the back end of the season. And I think that, yes, Paradise will be up there in the top 4, of course, when the season is finished.
Well, we're going to move quickly along. Now I have you, Anmar. The race in the Women's Premier League is also tightening. We've got Wales on 17 points with 5 wins and 2 drawn matches. Paradise nipping at their heels on 16 and RF Prime on 14.
Yeah, I expect the race to win the BFA Women's League to go down to the final day. If you look at the point standing, this is the midway stage, Damien. Wales on 17 points, Paradise on 16, and RF Prime on 14. I think it's going to come down to those 3 teams. RF Prime is a team that I've been very impressed with. They are a very young unit, coached by Kirk Corbin and Richard Ford, and you know, I've been very impressed with what I'm seeing from those girls, the likes of Jodie Rutt, Eyre Sealy, Jessie Robinson. You know, I think that's a well put together unit. Paradise as well, with a number of national players, Shanice Stevenson, Ashanae Thompson, and then you know there's a big cadre of national players also in and around the Weymouth Wales team. So yes, I'm definitely well deserved Weymouth Wales, Paradise and RF Prime to be sitting at the top of the Women's League at this point in time. I won't be one to go ahead and call it, but I can tell you that race will continue to be close as the season progresses.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Can Wales produce the double win in both the men and the women's Premier League? It's going to be a lot of celebrations down there at the club, definitely. But it's time now for us to take another break. But when we come back, we've got some BFA Champions Cup knockout scores to give to you, as well as Manchester City English Premier League champions after Arsenal took a stumble over the last few hurdles. We'll discuss it all on Matchday Live from the 246. Back here on Matchday Live, time to take a look at some results from the latest round of matches in the BFA Champions Cup in both the men and women. In the men's section, Wharton and Kickstart were the biggest winners last night. Wharton registering an 8-0 win over Greens, and Kickstart hammering Sunrise 6-0. And if you look at the results, Wales drawing 1-1 with Pride of Gall Hill. Eyre Sealy, did you have a hand in the strategy for that encounter?
Not at all. Absolutely none. But I'm happy to see the guys putting up fights. I do watch them practice quite a bit, and one thing I would say, there's always a good attendance at practice, and that's a very good sign when players actually do turn up for practice consistently. So I know that Barry has them working very, very hard, and he's a capable guy. I'm not going to put my fingerprints on anything going on right now. I'm just wishing them well, and I'll give my support from behind.
Well, you know, this is 2 slow starts now for Wales, because in the previous encounter they were held to a draw as well, but they came back in that second leg and really demolished the opponents, Anmar.
Yeah, I expect Weymouth to go through in this encounter against Pride of Gall Hill, but as Eyre would mention, you can't write off Gall Hill. It is knockout football, so it's a situation where the goals will talk and the goals will decide. But yes, Weymouth are heavily favourites to progress in this knockout tie. But yes, you mentioned the slow start from them, so it's a bit of familiar territory for Weymouth. I'm sure that the Carrington Village camp will not be panicking at this moment.
Yeah, good to see Kickstart and all the other teams putting through some good performances as well. Now that I have you, Anmar, the women's section of the knockouts, not a productive exercise so far. Explain. You had a couple of teams there that didn't show up in the last night's results or previous results, and so give us an explanation for it. We had 2 games, I think, with no shows.
Yeah, so Weymouth and Technique, those games basically by default, and the same with Paradise and Mavericks. It's a situation obviously we don't like. We would want the games to play, but it is the harsh reality. Technique didn't show up, Mavericks didn't show up as well, so the first legs will be awarded to Weymouth and Paradise. However, we did have the middle game, which was scheduled for 6 p.m. FVFC Femina defeating Pinelands by 2-0, so still all to play for. Actually, in all 3 of these encounters, as you know, a 3-goal deficit is one that could be turned around. So it's not over as yet.
Definitely. From an overall perspective, though, are teams having any challenges playing more this direct football, considering the various conditions? People get accustomed to the nice turf, and but you go into the different communities and the surfaces are much more different.
Yeah, so what I would say, well, that's not obviously the situation for the Women's League. All of the women's knockout games will be played at the turf, so obviously even playing field. In terms of the men, yes, I have been hearing some of the teams saying, you know what, they're so accustomed. I think we've spoiled them at the Football Association. We've given them, the nice playing field at the turf. So some of the teams, especially the Premier League teams, have been having a bit of some of the challenges, then readjusting to the community fields. Obviously, they are a bit smaller than the turf, so I think you would see some of the Premier League teams. But I think in the end, though, Damien, we do see sometimes the quality prevailing. But I like the fact that we've been able to take the football to the communities. The fans are involved, the vendors are involved, and I think this is what we need to grow as the sport progresses in the island so far. So the community spirit is back there. When I visit a couple of the venues, everyone seems to be excited and happy to have football return into communities, and it's something that argues well for the sport in the future.
Well, it's building nicely. We're going to wait and see how it pans out. Well, this is your chance to get in on the discussion via WhatsApp number 2285562. What do you think about Manchester City's performance and that of Arsenal in the 2022-2023 Premier League? We're going to discuss that right about now. The defending champions City, just too good for rampant Arsenal side this season, securing a 3rd successive title and 5th in the last 6 seasons. Well, Anmar, many Arsenal fans thought this was their season, but City saved their best for last, overtaking the Gunners to lift the championship with 3 matches to spare.
Yeah, from day one, Damien, I would say that I expected Manchester City to win the Premier League despite Arsenal's dominance in the season. Thus far, it's a situation where Manchester City had been there before. They've seen it. They're a team that are accustomed if they have to win 9 out of 10 games to win the league. They're a team that, can get it done. So I expected Manchester City to win the league, to come back. Arsenal, in my opinion, the draws, I think they had 2 or 3 straight draws back to back. I think that would have hampered, their progression, and I think it would have affected the players too from their mindset, physically and emotionally as well. If you look at the 2 managers, I think it was a case of master versus apprentice. Obviously, Mikel Arteta working under Pep Guardiola as his assistant at Manchester City. Pep then, kind of outsmarted the student. In my opinion, he played a lot of mind games to Arteta, and I think that prevailed. Credit though to this Manchester City players. If you look at it too, a number of the Manchester City players have been in that situation before where they have won the league. It was unfamiliar territory to Arsenal. I think too what hampered Arsenal in terms of them winning the league was the squad rotation for Arteta. The likes of Saka and Gabriel Jesus having to play virtually the entire season without getting much rest. I think when Manchester City, they have 2 squads to pull from.
Definitely, Eyre, to get you weighing in on this one. From a personnel standpoint, you look at the quality of the players on that Arsenal side. They needed a strong bench, as Anmar alluded to. City perhaps having about 3 squads. I mean, they bring Grealish off the bench. They have tremendous scope in terms of the amount of players at their disposal. Where do you think Arsenal can improve next season?
Well, first thing, watch me. Let me tell you what happened with Arsenal. They choke under the pressure, and that's the truth. 8 games to go, you got a probably an 8-point lead, and you go and draw. Okay, you draw with Liverpool, you take that, but you can't take a draw at West Ham, a draw with Southampton at home. Then you go and lose to Man City. You throw away your lead within a four-game period, and they just could not get it together anymore. They still went on and lost to Brighton, and I think also lost to Nottingham Forest. Look what's happened when the lead is over. They're able to beat Wolves comfortably. So this is like 2 different Arsenal teams. One that couldn't play under pressure. When the pressure is off, they're very comfortable, and we can make the excuses of squad depth and stuff like that, but in my mind, when you're smelling cup, you don't feel tired, you don't feel fatigue, you just go for it. And Saka's like 20 years old or something like that. How many 20-year-olds ever get tired? Arsenal is a young side. I mean, guys had a lot of running in them. They just could not hold the pressure, and that's where they basically lost the cup. And this opportunity might not come wrong again for a very long time.
So you're saying then that you don't see anything that they can build off of this season that they can take into 2024 perhaps? I mean, you mentioned Saka and company, but youthful side, I'm sure if they add a few more pieces, they've got Gabriel Jesus, which was a good acquisition. Promise for the future though.
I mean, depending on how you look at it, or the future might turn into the past, depending on how you look at it when you waste opportunities. On the surface, yes, you can say everything positive. They surpass expectations in a season where Liverpool and Chelsea fell away. But they will add some pieces to the squad. But if the mentality and the ability to hold and play under pressure does not improve, we'll have Arsenal back in this same situation like they were last season when they managed to bottle 4th place, and now they managed to bottle winning the Premier League. So it is a worrying trend as well when you see teams do this kind of thing. It is a worrying trend. So we could very well see Arsenal bottling 4th place again next season, or they might improve and able to handle the pressure better. But who knows? Time will tell.
Yeah, definitely time will tell. Anmar, speaking about time, Leicester City will be spending some time in the Championship. One of the more expensive teams have been relegated along with Leeds and Southampton. Interesting.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking to see the fall from grace, Leicester City. Damien, we're talking about a team who were Premier League champions in 2016. And if you follow the full story of Leicester, Damien, the season before they were crowned champions, you know, they did the what we call the Great Escape, where they were managed to avoid relegation. So it's a case where they avoided relegation one season and then won the Premier League the other season, and then you know they appointed Brendan Rodgers, and you know he led them to winning the FA Cup, and then they were fifth and sixth. But I think the decline of Leicester City really started when you know Claudio Ranieri, when he left, and then obviously the unfortunate situation where the owner of the club you know passed away, tragic, you know, with the helicopter crash. I think that all started the decline. I've been reading the English press too. They were saying that Brendan Rodgers, the manager after Ranieri, he more or less asked for some of the older players in the squad. It was an aging squad, and he asked for these players, you know, to be sold or released. And he was quite surprised when he came back from pre-season and he saw some of the same players that he thought, you know, their days were over with at Leicester City were still there, you know, for the upcoming campaign. And I think that would have been, you know, one of the key moments too in terms of Leicester City and their demise. It's sad, as I mentioned before, you know, the likes of James Maddison, who's, you know, is a quality player. You know, he perhaps will be leaving this summer. Jamie Vardy, who, you know, we know as Mr. Leicester City, perhaps he will be leaving as well. So it's really sad to see Leicester City, perhaps one of the greatest stories of not only football, sports in a whole, going down now relegated. It's just really sad, but you know we do hope that Leicester City will come back. We know that it's hard, you know, when you go down in the Championship, it doesn't mean that you'll be automatically getting
Right.
promotion back to the Premier League.
Definitely. Nobody likes to play Championship football. Well, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll look at our goals of the month. There you have it, some of the top goals of the month of May. Fantastic to see the strikers in full form in the Premier League. Look out for more to come when the second half of the season continues. Anmar, there's an international coming up, from what I understand, for the Barbados senior men's team.
Yes, you are absolutely correct, Damien. So the Barbados senior men's national team will travel next month to New Orleans to take on Honduras. That game will be played on Sunday, June the 18th. Barbados have been invited, all expense paid for. A chance to play Honduras, a CONCACAF giant. You know, Honduras have been to the World Cup on 3 or 4 occasions, so it's an occasion and a situation where, you know, the head coach Orlando Da Costa, he'll be able to get to see some of his players against, you know, CONCACAF giants, which is good. You know, we want to get that exposure for the players, and, you know, playing top quality opponents will only do better and help the players to improve their game.
Finally, Anmar, prediction for you. Champions League final, Manchester City versus Inter Milan. Your thoughts, quickly.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Manchester City 3-1. It's going to be interesting. Encounter Edin Dzeko will be up against his former club, Manchester City. But this Manchester City team have been so dominant so far this season. I don't think that Inter will be the one to stop them. I think we'll see 2 goals from Haaland and then 1 from Kevin De Bruyne. So yes, Manchester City 3, Inter 1, and I think Edin Dzeko will score against his former club.
Well, Eyre, quickly, when we got 30 seconds, tell me your pick.
Well, I expect Man City to win. This is a final. This is a one-off game, and there's no guarantee in anything. I think Man City and Pep Guardiola knows that this is the one they have to take. I think they should be the hungrier for it. You know, Pep know he has to get it. If not, Messi owns him. So, he never won one without Messi yet. So
I got you.
Yeah, if not, Messi owns him.
I love it. Love the way you end it there, Eyre. Thanks so much to Eyre Sealy and Anmar Goodridge-Boyce. This has been Match Day Live on the 246, the Monday edition. Until next month, it's goodbye.